Let's talk about books, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the big books and the small books we can read. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about books. Let's talk about books. Hey, y'all, what's up? Welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for liking the video and thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? My name is Ola. I'm an artist, cultural worker, and the creator and director of a social art project called the Free Black Women's Library. And on this channel, I talk about books, movies, and TV shows that I'm into and excited about. And also, here at the Free Black Women's Library, we get books sent to us every week from people from all over the world for the Free Black Women's Library book collection, which is located in Brooklyn, New York City. Yes. This is a literary hub, a reading room, a co-working space, a community care space, a social site that features over 5,000 books written by Black women and Black non-binary authors. And part of what grows this collection and sustains this collection are the wonderful people out there who send me books every week for the collection. And I started doing these videos just because I want to share with folks the wide range of books that we have coming in every week. And also, for those of you who are doing the Free Black Women's Library Reading Challenge, I think it's a good idea for me to do these videos because I can show you the different books that are coming in and also what prompts on the challenge list that these books can be read in response to, right? Right. The idea is that we have 40 prompts on the spreadsheet linked in my bio. And the goal, the challenge, is to read 24 books written by Black women this year. Some people, they might read 50. Some people might read 100, right? Some people might read 10. It's not really about the number of books you're reading. It's about, have you tried different authors? Have you exposed yourself to different genres? Have you done anything to kind of shake up your reading practice? You know what I mean? Let's say you're the type of person who only reads romance, who only reads beach reads. Maybe this year you'll read some science fiction. Or maybe you didn't even know that Black women and Black non binary authors wrote science fiction, right? So now, because of this challenge, you got to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of research to see. Guess what? Black women, Black non binary authors, we write science fiction, we write historical fiction, we write fantasy, we write mystery, we write thrillers, we write books about travel, books about health, beauty, self care, everything, architecture, urban planning, civil engineering, whatever you may think you might have an interest in, whether it be a special interest or something you're studying in school. There's guaranteed that there is a book out there written by a Black woman that touches on that subject. And I think it's a fun idea to investigate, right? It opens you up, it expands your mind, and that's what reading is supposed to do. But enough of the yapping, right? Enough of the yapping. We got a book box in this week, and I want to share with you what came in the box. And while you're watching this video, please feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know what books you are reading right now. Let me know if you're doing the challenge. All right. Let me know what you're enjoying. So far, it is February 2nd, 2026. And so far, I've only read 4 books this year, which is a much smaller number compared to years in the past. And this is something that I'm kind of frustrated about. But the fact is that running the library, being a library worker, being in charge of this space and all the different things that that requires kind of robbed me of reading time. The irony, right? The irony. But anywho, let's get into it. So in this box, we have, excuse me, the first book in this box is called Everybody Looking, and it's by Candice Elo. Everybody Looking by Candice Elo. Candice is a Black non-binary writer. This book is YA, and Candice is actually one of my favorite writers. Candice did do a presentation for the Free Black Women's Library a long time ago, before we had this space. She did a poetry reading for us. They, sorry, they did a poetry reading for us that was really beautiful. So Everybody Looking is their second book, and I believe that they have two more books coming out pretty soon. But this is really good YA for those who are looking for that. And I just love this cover. So if you're doing the challenge, one of the prompts is a YA novel, a YA book. Another thing is a book with a pretty cover. So I feel like this will qualify for both of those. So that's Everybody Looking by Candice Elo. Really good YA, really good YA. Next book in this box is called Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. And it has one of those Read with Jenna stickers on it, which means there is kind of like a really popular online book club led by Jenna, whose name I don't know her last name, but I often see a lot of books with that Read with Jenna sticker, similar to how you might see a book that has the an Oprah Winfrey Book Club pick sticker. I have not read Memphis, but it says that it is about the things women do for the sake of their daughters. I'm already intrigued because motherhood is one of my favorite themes to read about in fiction and nonfiction. Summer 1995, 10-year-old Joan and her mother and her younger sister flee her father's explosive temper and seek refuge at her mother's ancestral home in Memphis. This is not the first time violence has altered the course of the family's history. So it's giving historical fiction, and it says that the writer, Tara Stringfellow, is a poet and former attorney. And I can't tell if this is her debut or not. So I'm not sure if this would qualify for that prompt, but it does qualify for the prompt of a one-word title, which is Memphis. And it does qualify for the prompt of a book about a place, location, migration, travel. It qualifies for that. Oh, it is a debut. It says a spellbinding debut tracing 3 generations of a Southern Black family and one daughter's discovery that she has the power to change their legacy. So it's giving historical fiction, and it's also a debut. There's some really good blurbs on the back, one by one of my favorite writers, Robert Jones Jr., formerly known as Son of Baldwin, who is the author of the book The Prophets. So yeah, Memphis. I'm curious about this one. And it could even also be about a relationship between women, which is another one of the prompts. So that's Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. As you can see on the cover, you have this generational thing happening, kind of similar to one of the books I've read this year so far, which is called Cursed Daughters by Oyinkan Braithwaite, which is also about like daughters and mothers, and I enjoyed it, and I think I might want to do a video about it, but I just need to learn how to talk about books without spoilers, I guess. So the next book in this box is called Ways to Make Sunshine, and this is by one of my favorite authors as well, Renee Watson. Renee Watson writes middle school chapter books. She writes YA. She writes novels for grown folks. One of my favorite books by Renee is called Piecing Me Together. It's a middle school chapter book. I absolutely love it. The main character is a collage artist, which is probably part of the reason why I love it, because I'm a collage artist. But also she has another book for older folks, adults, called Skin and Bones, which I read last year and really enjoyed. This is giving middle school chapter book. And I kind of admire writers who can jump back and forth between genres, between like ideas and text, like writers who can write YA and then write grown folk stuff, or writers who can do like prose and poetry, but also do like fantasy. That is, to me, is so dope. But yeah, look at the back. Isn't that so cute? Ways to Make Sunshine. This is adorable. It says, move over, Ramona Quimbley. Portland has another neighbor you have to meet. Yes, this book takes place in Portland, similar to her other book. And it says that it's part of a series. So that's cool. It's got some graphics in there, which is kind of adorable. And one thing I like to do is I like to mix it up by reading YA and middle school chapter books because I do tend to read a lot of like heavy hitting history books that can be very like trauma. They go into like the history of Black folks and slavery, genocide, and these are all factual stories. So sometimes to kind of like, whew, I don't know if the word is heal or just kind of like nurture myself a little bit. I'll read something heavy and then I'll read something like sweet and fun just to kind of get that balance. Let me know if what I'm saying makes sense to y'all. Um, I do find myself just feeling emotionally affected sometimes by some of the things that I'm reading. And so I guess to make myself feel better, yeah, I'll kind of mix it up, if that makes sense. But let me know about y'all. Let me know about your reading practice and if you feel like you look at reading as a way of escaping the real world. Yeah. I had a friend recently tell me I read to escape. I don't like to read sad stuff. But for me, I do like to read sad stuff, but I also understand it affects me mentally and spiritually. So, anywho, the next book in this box is look at this beautiful cover, y'all. Isn't this gorgeous? She's just shining bright. I don't know if that's the author on the cover. It kind of looks like her. Look, I wonder if that's her from when she was little. It kind of looks like her, but it's called You Should See My Crown. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Thomas. You should see me in a crown. Yeah. And this is also kind of giving a YA vibe. One thing I noticed doing this library work, being a library worker for over 10 years, one of the things I notice is that you can sometimes get visual cues about what a book is by the cover. And I really enjoy the fact that a lot of YA novels, you can tell that it's YA because there's a young person on the cover. So I think that's what gives me this clue is this beautiful photo. You should see me in a crown. It's filled with humor, heart, and swoon-worthy romance. Okay, romance. Okay, romance for the it's giving puppy love, yeah. Liz Leidy has always believed she's too Black, too poor, too awkward to shine in her small, rich, prom-obsessed Midwestern town. But it's okay. Liz has a plan that will get her out of Campbell, Indiana forever to attend the uber elite Pennington College play in their world famous orchestra and become a doctor. Cute. So You See Me in My Crown, a book with a pretty cover, a young adult novel, a romance, etc., etc. These are all the prompts that you could read that in response to. Next book, also YA, middle schoolish looking, Finding Langston, a novel by Lisa Klein Ransom. Lisa, I believe, is another author whose name I've seen on like more older books. She writes children's books, and I believe she writes adult books as well. This book was nominated for an NAACP Image Award, which is pretty cool. And it looks like it is a type of historical fiction inspired by the life of Langston Hughes. We love that. Finding Langston, a novel by Lisa Klein Ransom. Beautiful cover. Next book in this box, Untwine, a novel by Edwige Dandicat. Edwige Dandicat is an iconic, best-selling, award-winning Haitian author. Breath, Eyes, Memory, Crick Crack. If you're not familiar with Edwige, definitely check out her work. She's a professor, very kind, very brilliant, wonderful person. Isabel and I were holding hands just as we had been holding hands on the day we were born. The doctor told our parents that he would need to untwine our tiny fingers to separate us. We were born holding hands, and now we wouldn't let go. This book has actually been on my TBR for a while, Untwine, and I think I'm going to try to read it this year. It's about twins, 16-year-old Giselle Boyer and her identical twin Isabel are as close as sisters can be. And yeah, she's the author of many award-winning books. Untwine is a young adult novel, and it's a book about relationships between women and so many other things. But I'm going to read this one and get back to y'all about how it was because it's been on my TBR for a while, like I said. And I do tend to really love Edwidge's writing. Her prose is beautiful. Shout out to all of you all out there who are Haitian. She's also a Haitian author. And yeah, represent. Haiti represent. Next book, Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn. Nicole Dennis Benn is a Caribbean author. Oh, yes, that's another prompt. Another one of the prompts for the Free Black Women's Library Reading Challenge is a book by a Caribbean author. So these two would qualify for that. And Here Comes the Sun was a finalist for many book awards. Here Comes the Sun is a debut. And Here Comes the Sun writer Nicole Dennis Benn is another writer that we have had at the Free Black Women's Library. I'm proud to say that she did a reading for us back in the day. And this book is profound, and I believe that it could also qualify for the LGBTQIA fiction prompt as well. So it's a debut, it's by a Caribbean author, it's LGBTQIA, it's Caribbean author, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, check out Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn. She has two books out. The other one is called Patsy. So yeah, two books out by that author. Next book, Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Youssef Salaam. And Ibi is also a Haitian author and also a YA author. She's written Nigeria Jones, Pride, which is inspired by Pride and Prejudice. She's written like so many books. She's very, 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 very prolific. We got tons of books by Ibi here. She used to be she used to live in Brooklyn, but she doesn't anymore. And she has also done reading at the library. So I don't know. I'm looking back and really thinking about all the amazing authors that we have had do readings for us in this for this project. And I'm kind of like, wow, that's so cool. But yes, Punching the Air by Ibi Zoboi and Youssef Salaam. How do writers write books together, I wonder? I have a feeling that this is also could be read in response to the prompt of a book with multiple perspectives, right? Multiple POVs. So there's that, Punching the Air, YA, Caribbean. Oh, Nigeria Jones. I was just talking about Nigeria Jones by Ibi Zoboi. I read this book last year, and I really enjoyed this book. Woo! It had me in my feelings, and it reminded me of a lot of people I know in real life. Nigeria Jones. Nigeria Jones is the story of a child that's growing up in a Black nationalist household and the experience of that, being raised by intensely politicized parents, and also grief. There's a prompt, a book about grief. And so this definitely touches on grief. I won't spoil it, but the theme of grief is explored in addition to it being YA, in addition to it taking place in New York City. So another prompt, a book that takes place in your hometown. So if you are from New York City, if you live in New York City, this could be the book you read in response to that. It was a quick read for me. And it was a good read. It was a good read. The main character's name is Nigeria, and she's just special. It's a coming of age story. I would love to see this made into like a little, Netflix series, kind of forever style series, kind of examining the life of a child that grew up in the movement, if you know what I mean. the political movement and what that was like. Next book, Tayari Jones, Silver Sparrow. Tayari Jones, look at this picture of Tayari. Wow. Yeah, this is her. I believe this was Tayari Jones's first book. I really liked Silver Sparrow. I'm not sure if this is her debut, but I like Silver Sparrow. It's about two sisters. So, relationship between women, 100%. Tayari Jones, a big, super popular book was An American Marriage. And she also has another book coming out this year called Kin that I'm really excited about. The Free Black Women's Library is going to be doing a giveaway of Kin by Tayari Jones next month when it comes out. So look out for that on my social media if you're interested in getting a free copy. I haven't had a chance to read it because they didn't send me the ARC, but I heard it's awesome. I heard it's incredible. I heard it's very good. So yeah, excited to read that. But this is Silver Sparrow. Check out Silver Sparrow if you're looking for a book for the prompt, a relationship between women and a relationship with more than one POV. Silver Sparrow. Next, as you can see, we got a lot of books in this box. The next one is Grown by Tiffany Jackson, which I read last year. This is also YA, gorgeous cover, really heavy subject matter. Trigger warning for domestic violence, trigger warning for manipulation, narcissism, kidnapping, just all the things, right? This story, Grown, is inspired by the relationship between Aaliyah and R. Kelly. So there's that. But I love this cover. I think it's so beautiful. I love yellow. I love the look on her face, that look of defiance, that look of don't mess with me. Yeah, and just trigger warning if you want to read this book, it's the subject matter is really intense. For those of you who are familiar with R. Kelly and Aaliyah's story, you know why. So that's Grown. Pretty cover, YA, serious subject matter though. Somebody's Daughter, a memoir by Ashley Ford. Of course, one of the prompts is a memoir, biography, or autobiography. And this is Ashley Ford, who also came to the Free Black Women's Library to talk to us about this book. Do y'all see that's how that snake is kind of buried in the midst of the color and the beauty that's taking place here? Yeah, it's very telling. This is a really trigger warnings in this one as well for some moments of mental struggles and gender violence as well. But also really good. Really good story, really good writing. Fan of Ashley C. Ford. Read with caution, but recommend. And not super long, as you can see. This is a short read. I think I read it in like a weekend, like I breezed through it. Yeah, it says one of the most prominent voices of her generation debuts with an extraordinary, powerful memoir. The story of a childhood defined by the looming absence of her incarcerated father. So Ashley C. Ford's dad is in jail. And so this conversation kind of explores what it means to be have a parent who has been incarcerated for horrendous crimes, right? How do you reconcile with that? That's your daddy, right? And she did a good job. Somebody's Daughter, Ashley C. Ford, debut memoir. Ooh, would I say mental health? Probably not, but maybe grief as well. Although technically no one dies, there is the grief of that loss of not being able to have that childhood that you wanted to have, or grieving that relationship with that parent that you never experienced. So there's that. Anywho, let's move on because there's a lot of books in this box. This person was super kind. So I'm going to pull all the books out. Yes. So I mentioned Piecing Me Together earlier with Renee Watson. I already told y'all this is one of my favorite books. It's a middle school chapter book, and it's about a young girl who's a collage artist, Black collage artist living in Portland. This is one of my favorite books. I find myself recommending it all the time. It's about a little girl named Jade, and I love the cover and I love the story. And yeah, this is one of these books. This is one of the books that just made me fall in love with Renee's pen, Piecing Me Together. Definitely check that one out if you're looking for something to read with yourself, or to read with another young person, or to read if you're like a middle school teacher, or if you run like a book club for your high school. I recommend Piecing Me Together 100%. The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson. I'm completely unfamiliar with this story. It says a promise could betray you. And I don't know what this one is about at all. The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson. How could a lie be kind, y'all? What do you think? How could a lie be kind? Is that like, oh, you look good in that dress, even if it looks horrible? I wonder. It's 2008, and the rise of Barack Obama ushers in a new kind of hope. In Chicago, Ruth Tuttle, an Ivy League educated Black engineer, is married to a kind and successful man. He's eager to start a family, but Ruth is uncertain. She has never gotten over the baby she gave birth to and was forced to give up when she was a teenager. She had promised her family she'd never look back, but Ruth knows that to move forward, she must make peace with the past. The Kindest Lie examines the heartbreaking divide between Black and white communities and plumbs the emotional depths of the struggles faced by ordinary Americans in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Capturing the profound racial injustices and class inequalities rolling society, Nancy Johnson's debut novel offers an unflinching view of motherhood in contemporary America and the never-ending quest to achieve the American dream. Interesting. Interesting. You know what's funny, y'all, is I didn't know that there was a financial crisis in 2008 because I've been in a financial crisis since 1980. So if there was a financial crisis, it must have hit me. It must have hit different because I'm constantly in a state of financial crisis, y'all. But yes, that's The Kindest Lie. It's a debut. It's by Nancy Johnson. Let me know if you read it. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. This book is one of my favorite historical fiction novels. It's called Take My Hand, and it's by Dolen Perkins Valdez. Dolen Perkins Valdez is also the author of another book called Wench. And I think she has another book called The Yellow Wife, or I might be confusing her with someone else. So I'll just say, yes, Wench. Oh, and Balm. She's the best-selling author. She was the finalist for two double NAACP awards and the Legacy Award for Fiction from the Hurston Wright Foundation. She's been awarded the First Novelist Award. This is her picture right there. She's very lovely. And I love this book. I love this book. This is another book that I recommend often. It is historical fiction. And it's what I appreciate about this book is that it takes a real life story about these two sisters who were victims of the medical industrial complex, and it turns it into a narrative, right? I appreciate when writers of historical fiction take real life moments within Black history and they kind of like stretch them and expand them, and take you on this journey. It's kind of like they're taking you on a journey of time travel, and they introduce you to these topics and these ideas and these moments in time. And if you're like me, after you read a piece of historical fiction, for me, it makes me want to do a deep dive, right? So after I read this book, I did a deep dive about the sisters and the story that this book is based on, and I got to learn so much. So it's like a little kind of history lesson primer that happens. But Take My Hand by Dolen Perkins Valdez. When I say I love sad stories, this is part of what I mean, because this is actually an incredibly sad story that kind of had me teary-eyed through a lot of it, but it's just so beautifully written. It's so tender, and you can tell that the writer really cared about the characters. So even though they were dealing with moments of trauma, they weren't dehumanized in the telling of their stories. So yeah, really love Take My Hand, really love this cover. This story is told from a very specific perspective that I appreciated, and really love Take My Hand. Really love Take My Hand. So shout out to this author, and it makes me want to read her other books, Wench and Balm. Take My Hand. Next book in this pile is a memoir that's been on my TBR for a minute, How to Save Babylon by Safia Sinclair. Now, as you can see, it has that same Read with Jenna sticker, like the other book called Memphis. And the people I know who read this book say that it's fantastic. It's been on my TBR. Safia Sinclair is a poet. One of my favorite poetry collections is written by Safia Sinclair. It's called Cannibal. Love Cannibal. Incredible poetry collection. So this is about her life being raised Rasta and what that was like. It says, with echoes of educated and born a crime, How to Save Babylon is the stunning story of the author's struggle to break free of her repressive Rastafari upbringing, ruled by her father's rigid patriarchal views, to find her own voice as a woman. So, part of the reason why I want to read this book is because I love Safia's poetry so much that I'm imagining that the vulnerability and the prose that she uses to tell her story in this book is probably exquisite, fantastic. As you can see the cover, she's like cutting her locks. So what's happening here is there's kind of like a sense of body autonomy being claimed. There's a sense of rebellion against, the culture she was raised in that's happening. There's a movement towards like liberation of her own self and her own life. So I'm thinking about that prompt within the Free Black Women's Library Reading Challenge, which is a book about liberation, body autonomy, rebellion, and so on. So How to Save Babylon is that. And I also think this cover is kind of fly. You can see it's like got the Jamaican colors with the green, the yellow, and the black. And it's giving a book by a Caribbean author as well. A book by a Caribbean author. It says Safia Sinclair was born and raised in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And look at that. It's got some poems on the inside covers. Let's see if there are any other graphics. Nope, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I want to read this book. So I'm going to set this one to the side so I can get into that. And then the next book in this pile is called Dream Country by Shannon Gibney. Dream Country by Shannon Gibney. Dream Country is the story of 5 generations of young people from one African-American family chasing an elusive dream across centuries and continents. So there's a story from 2008. There's a story from 1926. There's a story from 1827. There's a story from 1980, and there's one from 2018. So it's giving historical fiction somewhat. And it's giving, I can't tell if this is, the shape of it makes me feel like it might be YA, but I could be wrong about that. But I will say that it is giving historical fiction and it is giving multiple perspectives. Gibney conjures an ambitious, sinuous novel from a family tree twisted to its breaking point by slavery and colonialism, but ultimately held together by hope and determination. Dream Country. The last book in this box is called So We Can Glow. So We Can Glow. It's a short story collection by Lisa Cross Smith. So We Can Glow, a lush glittering short story collection exploring female obsession and desire by an award-winning author that Roxane Gay calls a consummate storyteller. So we can glow. Oh, look at her. She fine. Okay, Lisa. Lisa is a homemaker and the author of Every Kiss of War and Whiskey and Ribbons. She lives in Kentucky with her husband and children. Lisa Cross Smith. So we have a short story collection. It sounds like there might be some spice in there. Definitely going to check this one out. It says Lisa Cross sensuous stories, some long, gone in a flash, some told over text and email, drench readers in nostalgia for summer nights and sultry days. They recall the intense friendships of teenage girls and the innate bonds between mothers, the first heady rush of desire and the pure exhilaration of motherhood, of womanhood, all while holding up the wild souls of women so they can catch the light. I like this. This sounds good. This sounds really good. Yeah, the stories are described as stirring, sexy, haunting, dense with emotion. Mm, this sounds good to me. This sounds good to me. I'm going to be looking into this one as well. So you see, I set two of these books aside for myself to read, How to Save Babylon and So We Can Glow, a short story collection. Yeah. So that's all the books that came in this box. It's a mighty big stack. Oof. So these are all going to be stamped and put on the Free Black Women's Library shelves. So those of you who live in Brooklyn, you can come see us whenever we're open to read them. Or if you like, you can trade. Bring a book written by a Black woman author or a Black non-binary author, and you can trade 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 4 for 4. Just make sure you check the no trade list so you can see what books we're not taking for trade right now. Okay. Make sure you check that list before you bring books to trade. But even if you don't have a book to trade, you can still come to the library and you can read the books while we're open. Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 5, Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 6. Now, if you've watched this entire video, thank you. Please don't forget to like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. You can also join me on Patreon, the Free Black Women's Library Patreon, where we have monthly meetups where we write together, we read together, we study together. It's a type of Hush Harbor style study session that's currently we're focusing on the concept of Black interiority. So join me on Patreon for that if you're interested in being a part of that. And I will see y'all in the next video. All right. So thanks so much, y'all. Bye and happy reading. Enjoy yourselves. Peace.